When you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. I'm super excited to be having an old friend of mine, Brian Moses from Nashua, New Hampshire on today. How you doing, Brian?
It's great to see you, Andre. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on here with me today on my podcast. And I think a lot of the people listening probably already know who you are, Brian, but I'll give you just a short intro and then I'll ask you about your story. But man, Brian, I know he's reached over 400 home sales and $3 million in commission annually, and has done over 3,500 homes in his real estate career. And I really know him well from all the coaching and training. He was one of my coaches actually back in the 90s. But Brian's been worked for Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. He's the author of Ultimate Sales Machine. And I know he's a trainer with Tony Robbins for his events. And he's coached really a lot of the high level real estate agents like Jay Kinder and Brent Gove that most of us all know. And you've helped me a lot in my business, Brian, and I'm just excited to have you on my podcast today.
Well, it's great to be here, Andre. It's so good to see you. And hopefully we can add some value and impact some people's lives in a positive way, because that's really my goal and mission in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone listening, any questions that you have for Brian, put them in the comment section here, and we'll just go ahead and ask them, and definitely share this on Facebook and get some of your friends on here so we can show Brian some love. But let's just start with a little bit of your background, Brian, or your real estate background, your personal background, whatever you want to share, so people really have a good idea of who we have on our podcast today.
Well, sure. I mean, I grew up, kind of middle class, and my father was a plumber. He wanted me to take over his plumbing business, and I knew that I didn't want to do that. I worked with him during summers and weekends, digging ditches, cutting into sewer lines, and I just didn't like that heavy, hard labor. It wasn't for me. So I went to college and graduated college with a business degree. And, upon graduation was offered some good jobs, $60,000, $70,000 a year, company car, medical benefits. And my parents are like, what are you going to do? I go, I don't really want to work for anybody. I want to get into real estate. Real estate, you're your own boss. The sky's the limit. You get paid commissions, and I'm just going to make millions. And they both rolled their eyes at me and said, okay, son, good luck. In my first year, I made $18,000 my first year selling real estate. So, arguably, I was not a born salesperson. I sucked. I couldn't pay my bills. I got behind in my taxes and my rent, and got into some financial hardships, but worked harder. Just couldn't figure it out. And then about 5 years in, I was dead broke. The IRS had just seized my bank account. I just deposited $20,000 in income, wrote $20,000 in checks, and I get a call from the bank, and they said, you're bouncing checks left and right. What's going on? I go, that's impossible. I just deposited $20,000. And they said, well, wait a minute. They punched the keyboard, and the IRS had pulled out the $20,000 because I owed them back taxes.
Wow.
I was in a world of hurt. And I was up late one night, and I was watching, I don't know, QVC or some infomercial, and Tony Robbins was on TV, and he was selling his Ultimate Personal Power cassettes. And for you too can change your life for 3 easy installments of $99.99. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I have enough room on my credit card, but this guy sounds amazing. So it went through. I got the cassettes in the mail and I wore those babies out, Andre. And it was really a shift in my mindset. And, to believe, it's not about positive thinking, but to really believe, really, really deeply believe that you are in control of your destiny and that you can figure it out and you can become more resourceful. And, I found some other mentors and I got coaching and started to turn it around. And I went from being dead broke to making $600,000 the following year and never looked back. And then I just kept investing in my business. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version, if you will.
Right. Yeah, it's a great story, and I remember you kind of sharing that with us before when you were our coach with Proctor. I mean, I was a member from 91 or 92 to 98. No, I take that back. 98 to forever. I got in real estate in 91. That's what it was. But got into coaching in 98 and remember all the things that you and Craig all helped us grow our business, and you had your team and you were really rocking it back then, and you've gone on to do some amazing things. So really looking forward to having you share a few of your golden nuggets of some of the things that you share with your coaching students.
Sure.
How to grow their business, and then kind of hear a little bit more about your story. How'd you end up with us here at EXP?
Sure. So a couple of things, what I was doing in the early years wasn't working. And what I was doing was what everybody was doing. So if the definition of insanity is doing more of the same, expecting different results. So Craig Proctor was the #1 agent in the world for RE/MAX at the time. I shadowed him. I invested in him. I ended up working with him. He was the best man in my wedding. I was the best man in his wedding. I was a good poster child for him because he told me what he was doing. I would do it in Nashua. I wouldn't question it. I wouldn't ask him. He taught me how to be unique, how to be different, how to make offers, how to get prospects to call me instead of me calling them.
Right.
And it really was life altering. And rose to the ranks of #2 in the world for Coldwell Banker in, my little backyard of Nashua, New Hampshire. I wasn't in Beverly Hills or Miami or Dallas, Texas. Small market, crushing it in sales, 400 sales a year. But I made a lot of mistakes. And the thing that really turned it around for me, Andre, and you know this, is what value can you offer somebody who's thinking about buying or selling a home? We all do much of the same things, but how can you package it so that you stand out, that you're unique, that you're different? And when you do that, your phone starts ringing off the hook. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to buy leads from third-party companies. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's a less expensive way to build your business. And when you are building your business and your brand, you don't even have to answer your phone when your messages are so unique and so compelling. People can't go to Keller Williams or Century 21 or RE/MAX to get what you're offering because the competition doesn't understand what you're offering. And when you master that skill of direct response marketing, it's a game changer. And then in 2007-ish, I had hit the peak, and it wasn't challenging. I was bored. I was uninspired. I was making lots of money. My real estate team was really profitable, but I wanted to coach and impact agents. So I worked with Craig for a few years, coaching agents, running, a graduate program. So people would come in through his coaching program and then they'd elevate and I'd take them on. You were in that program.
Right.
And it was quite fantastic. And then In 2009, I got hit by a car, wasn't able to travel, wasn't able to work. So it was a little bit of a setback, and had the opportunity to work with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. And I learned more in the 3 years with those two guys than I had in my entire adult life. Wow. About optimization and strategy over tactic, and how to get all the meat off the bone, how to not just get referrals, but turn your clients into advocates and raving fans. So it was a good journey. And then unfortunately, Chet got leukemia and passed away. So that business kind of crumbled. So I started coaching again. I worked with Mike Reese and Jay Kinder.
Right.
We aligned forces there at NAEA, and I wrote a lot of copy and curriculum for them, and they're great guys. You know, they have more ambition in their pinky than I have in my whole body, and I think I'm an ambitious guy. So it's nice to see them succeeding. And then, you know, my coaching business has been going well. You know, I'm not looking to be the next Brian Buffini, Craig Proctor, Tom Ferry. I'm not looking to build a bajillion client. You know, I coach one-on-one. I coach some very, very elite teams in North America that are fantastic. And I love working with big thinkers and people that want to grow. And then in 2020, an old coaching client called me up. You know, a lot of people had called me up about EXP.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, I don't even have a real estate license. I'm not interested in getting back into the business. It doesn't inspire me. I want to coach. I want to train. I'm not interested in joining another company. I've been with Century 21. I've been with Remax. I know Keller Williams. I've been with Coldwell Banker. EXP, just another company, real estate company. No, thank you. So I wouldn't even listen to it. I wouldn't even look at it. And then Dennis D'Souza, my sponsor, you know, called me relentlessly. And finally he said, Moses, shut up. You stop. I mean, talk about like big, giant balls. I loved it. He's like, stop it. I love you. I care about you. You need to shut up and listen. That's exactly what he said to me. I love you and I care about you. And I find that that's really a common thread at EXP. Mm-hmm. I mean, certainly the people that I brought on, I love and I care about them. So Dennis said that, and I mean, how do you say no to somebody who says, I love you, I care about you, shut the F up? So he told me a little bit about it and what was unique and different about this company. And I'm like, wow, that sounds pretty exciting. That sounds pretty sexy. That sounds like it could be an exit strategy for me. You know, it sounds like it could help me reach my goals faster, quicker. So he introduced me to a gentleman in New Hampshire, you might know, Dave Gagnon, who's in New Hampshire. And Dave was willing to meet me for coffee. And I show up for coffee and I'm like, I don't know who this Dave Gagnon guy is. And, you know, he was very nice. And we had coffee and he didn't bring a computer. He didn't bring a notebook. He didn't bring a pen. And I'm like, what kind of presentation is this? And we just had a conversation about it. And, you know, I saw the opportunity with other sources of income and how it could impact the lives of some other people. And it you know, I don't think any one thing is for everyone, but I could see a lot of people that this company could benefit and impact. So I've been here for about 3 years. And, you know, quite frankly, the first year I didn't do anything because I was fearful that, you know, I coach agents and I coach companies and I speak, and that's my livelihood. And if people felt that I was at EXP, they wouldn't hire me to speak or to coach, or I figured I'd lose my income. So I had that limiting belief. I had that fear. And so I kind of did it on the down low and brought in a few people. That started taking off and I started getting some, you know, referral income monthly, on the sales that they made. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty exciting, pretty cool. And somebody told me, I don't remember who to give credit to, but they're like, you know who you are, right? If somebody's going to pay me to speak at their organization, I'm not going to go and talk about EXP. That's not what they're paying me to do. I'm going to talk about business building strategies. And it's been great. I have a lot of friends who are not in EXP, a lot of people I love, admire, coach, respect, and I don't solicit them or their agents, but it's been a wonderful ride. So I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So what were a few of the things that really got your attention for you to really take a look at EXP and for you to do a deep dive, and what was your due diligence period like?
So I understand math and numbers and finances. And if you remember back in the grad program, I used to teach a little segment of wealth mastery.
Right.
And we had these 6 or 7 mile markers that step number 1 is have financial security, have some cash in the bank, right? So that if something happens to you, if you get hit by a car, you're financially secure, and most people are not financially secure. If they can't work, they're screwed. So step number 1 is financial security. Step number 2 is financial protection. Step number 3, financial vitality. So we defined back in the day all these different mile markers. People are probably familiar with the word financial freedom. Financial freedom, by definition, is the amount of money you need to earn passively or from investments to duplicate your current lifestyle.
Right.
Now, I just saw your beautiful home. You have a beautiful lifestyle. Your financial freedom number is probably a sizable number. My financial freedom number is a sizable number. I need to make a lot of money every year to pay my mortgage, to do the vacations that we do, to put my kids through college. So I know what that number is. Let's call it 100,000. Let's call it 200,000. Let's call it 500,000. But most people don't want to live this way for the rest of their life, meaning I have goals beyond where I am today. Sure. That number is called absolute financial freedom. How much money do you need to make or amass or accumulate to do whatever the hell you want to do? Now, don't get me wrong, for those of you that are watching, I'm not all about money. But money can buy you freedom, right? Mm-hmm. Money can solve a lot of problems. And money, can do great things. You can be philanthropic. You can put your kids through better schools. You can put your kids into coaching. Those things cost money. So when I saw how easy it is to duplicate my wealth with EXP, I was all in. So, how long does it take somebody to save $1 million?
Right.
And how far will $1 million go? $1 million at retirement, if you saved $50,000 a year for 20 years, you'd have $1 million. Well, $1 million doesn't go very far, because if you're drawing on the million at 3.6%, that's $36,000 a year. Most of the people watching, I bet my life, can't live on $36,000. So $1 million isn't enough. How long will it take you to save $2 million, $3 million, $5 million? $5 million will pay you $150,000 a year, $180,000 a year if invested. I can't live on that either. So I need to save $5 million. I'm 57 years old. I need to save another $5 million. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of risk. That's a lot of effort. However, through revenue share, I can tell people about this great company, and I can make $150,000 passively, $180,000 passively. That's the equivalent of having $5 million in net capital. So it's been great. In 3 years, EXP has more than tripled my net worth. Tripled it. So I've worked my whole life at that really hard. I've been arguably very successful, made over $20 million in commissions in my lifetime. And I've invested it wisely. I've done okay, but I still have to work.
Right.
So EXP has been fantastic. So that's what I saw. That's what I embraced. And so far, so good.
Well, that's exciting, Brian. We have some, I have some big goals as well. And we've connected with some pretty high level people within EXP that are doing really well. And the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? And there's people that have gone, before us that are doing some pretty amazing things. And what I really get excited about is the collaboration. So many people think, being that we're, a cloud-based company, that, it's hard to have the collaboration. But it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I've never experienced more collaboration at any company I've been affiliated with. Yeah, it's a cloud-based company, but there's 4 amazing annual events. There's Build, there's EXP Con, there's the event in Cabo, there's shareholders, and the energy is exciting. You've got people with similar goals and values. I've never met anybody at this company that I didn't like. I've been with Coldwell Banker, I've been with Remax, I've been with, Century 21. And I met a lot of nice people at those companies, people that I'm still friends with. But there was always some people that I didn't like. I can honestly tell you, I've never met anybody at this company that I don't like. We're like-minded. It's really, really incredible. In our states, we have, networking events. So even in New Hampshire, I go and network with other agents in New Hampshire, and I get to see them in person. Sure, we have Zoom and technology, and, technology is great. It allows us to be more efficient. And did you get into this business to make friends or to make money? Like, why are we in business? Primarily to provide for my family is why I'm in business. So I think sometimes we lose sight of what business is all about, and making friends has been a great byproduct of being at EXP. But if, you're burnt out, you're uninspired, you're bored, if you find yourself that real estate agents don't retire, Andre, they die, right? They work until they're dead. I have agents that I know that are in the business that are 80, 85 years old. I can promise you one thing. I'm not going to be coaching or, selling real estate when I'm 80 or 85. So I have an exit plan and an exit strategy, and I'll never stop working. But it's nice to be in a position where you can work less, where it takes the pressure off. I think most people today watching this, sales are down nationally about 40%. So the volume of transactions is way down. Interest rates are way up. People are impacted by that.
Right.
So, if you're accustomed to making $200,000, $300,000 a year because it was really good the last few years, and your income is cut in half now, you still have the house, you still have the cars, you still got the kids in school. What do you do? So I'm all about other sources of income, and so EXP offers other sources of income in terms of revenue share and equity in the company. It's a beautiful thing. I didn't get any equity at the other companies that I was affiliated with.
We all got a lot of plaques, didn't we?
I got a whole room full of them. Like you can see them over there.
Yeah. Yeah, we sure had it when I moved from New York to Georgia. I had a big box of plaques, and it's like, do I bring them with me, or what do I do with them? And I couldn't take them to the bank, so I just ended up throwing them out. I didn't want to bring them to the next location. But yeah, the equity in the company is a big deal. A lot of people, you don't know it until you get here, but it is a big deal.
I'll tell you something else that's kind of cool about this company. And I just had knee replacement surgery, a full knee replacement. And
Okay.
I have insurance through EXP.
Okay.
I was a little apprehensive because I had really good insurance. I had medical, I'm getting older. God, knock on wood, I don't want to get cancer. But if I had cancer, I'd want the best treatment money could buy. So I had really good insurance, and my premium was $2,400 a month for a family of 4 and a $6,000 deductible per person. So if I got sick, I had to pay in $6,000 before my insurance would kick in. And if my son got sick, I'd have to pay in $6,000 for him too, for his insurance to be covered. So it's very expensive. And, I see so many real estate agents don't even have insurance because it's so expensive.
Right.
Well, I was told about EXP's group insurance plan, and everybody was raving about it. So I had my office manager look into it, and she's like, yeah, this is legit. $1,000 deductible for my family. So not a $6,000 deductible per person. $1,000 is the most I have to pay in. And my premium went down from $2,400 to $1,200 a month.
Wow.
And I just had knee replacement surgery. I mean, that was probably a few $100,000. I'm still, I'm recovering from it. I'm doing well. It's about 6 weeks old. Everything paid for and no problems, no hitches. Physical therapy, top notch, great doctors. So that's been a huge savings as well. Just a really, really, I call it an agent-centric business model. Glenn Sanford, the founder, incredible human being, incredible guy. You've met him, you've interviewed him, you've talked to him. I was at RE/MAX. We know who the founder of RE/MAX is. I didn't have his cell phone number. I couldn't call him. I couldn't walk up to him at an event and go, hey, Dave, you got a second? You walk through an event and Glenn Sanford goes, hey, Andre, how you doing?
Right.
Hey, Brian, how you doing? Like, I've got goosebumps. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Agent-centric. And his mission is to create a environment where real estate agents can create great income, which you could do at any company, but also wealth and financial freedom. And there's not a day that goes by. And like I said, this is not for everybody, but for me, for you, for people that this is resonating with, there's not a day goes by that I don't thank the baby Jesus for Glenn Sanford in this company.
I agree with you 100%, Brian. I was in Orlando there at the shareholders, and I was invited to join a meeting with some of my Canadian business partners, especially from Quebec, because my Quebec business partners are like, it's like a whole different country, even though it's all part of just a province of Canada, but because of the French speaking and so forth. Right. And they were having a few challenges, and they wanted to. So one of them reached out to Glenn to see could they meet with him at the event. So there was about 10 to 15 of us that went up to his suite, and we had a 1 hour meeting with Glenn personally. And he had his two, one of the directors and I think the marketing person there from Quebec there. And the agents just shared with them some of the challenges and things that they needed help with. And right there on the spot, Glenn's like, well, it looks like we probably need a couple of new hires, and we probably should do this and do this. Asked everyone's opinion, and then told the directors to go ahead and start working on that, and then asked us, the agents, who do you personally know that we might be able to, fill these positions and do X. And we got so much accomplished in that 1 hour. But it was, like you said, it's with the owner of the company, and all they did was ask. So it is pretty incredible. I was talking to a top Keller Williams agent that had like 80 agents in his office, and right before Christmas, I messaged Glenn. I mean, I know him from going to the conference and stuff, but I mean, he doesn't know me more than most anyone else in the company. And I never messaged him through Workplace before because I didn't ever need to. I always have. There's tons of people that that can help us. But I wanted to introduce Glenn to this person, so I just texted him a message through Workplace, sharing the guy's background. I said, I don't know if you're out of town or traveling for Christmas, because it was like a few days after Christmas, I think. I said, but between now and the first, would you be able to jump on a Zoom for 15 minutes? And that was like at 10 o'clock at night when I sent it. And then in the morning, he texted me back saying, yeah, I could get together today at 11 or tomorrow at 11.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. And I couldn't get my guy on the call quick enough that day. So we did it the next day. And we spent about 40 minutes with Glenn, just chit-chatting and having a conversation and introducing him. I mean, like you said, we've been at other top companies before, and you couldn't do that. Even the people in the inner circle have a hard time doing something like that.
It's unbelievable. I've been at companies where my sales manager doesn't call me back. It's definitely worth exploring. Life is all about options, and the more options people have, the better. And like I say, I have a lot of great friends at Remax, Keller Williams, Century 21, and they're doing just fine there. And that's great. And I support them in their journey. And, I just want to encourage people to look at their options, and then they can make the best decision. Don't be like Brian Moses and say, no, I know don't make the mistake that I made thinking that it's just another real estate company. That's like thinking that Blockbuster and Netflix are both video companies.
Right.
They're both very different. Airbnb is not a hotel. Like, the world is changing, and it's long overdue that somebody with some innovation came in and changed the real estate model. We still do the same things.
Right.
We just get paid differently, which is pretty cool, pretty exciting.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years, Brian, with your business?
So, I've been very, very blessed. I've got 2 boys, one who's going to be 21, one who's 16. So we're getting them through school. I want to travel more with my family. But I really want to make an impact in the lives of other people. So I've had great experiences, and I've invested heavily in myself. So I'll always be a coach, a trainer, a speaker, probably just not at the fast pace that I'm doing it right now. I'm on calls all day long, Monday through Friday, generally. Tomorrow I'm leaving. I'm doing an event in Orlando. I'm doing an event in Fort Lauderdale. Then I come home. I work with mortgage companies. So I'll do that, but I probably will scale it to a 2 or 3 day week. And I'll work really, really hard 2 or 3 days, and then, take some more time off and travel the world. I've got a lot of goals, a lot of ambitions. And I'm enjoying life even now. My son plays college football at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback in the SEC, and football starts in a couple of months. So we'll go to all the games, and that's a lot of fun, 80, 90, 100,000 fans. So I'm a happy husband and a proud dad, a good friend, and really just wanting to make a difference in the lives of other people.
And that's awesome. And that's kind of a common theme when you talk to a lot of people at the company, right? I mean, we've been friends for a long time, but kind of got disconnected. I've moved from New York to Georgia to Florida now. But we got reconnected basically on one of the influencer masterminds that we're all part of every Thursday. And we got reconnected, and I just, hey, Brian, like, would you be willing to jump on a podcast? And you're like, absolutely, would love to do anything, how we can help you in any way that we can. And that's kind of like common theme within the company. So I really appreciate your heart and what you're doing to help people. You've always helped, real estate agents across the U.S. and Canada, but I think you and I are both going to have a bigger impact because of the reach and what's involved within the company. So excited to see what you're going to do here going forward.
Yeah, I'm chasing you. You're doing a great job, and you're an inspiration to me. And, there's so many great stories in this company. And, I'm inspired again. I feel like I'm not the biggest player in the room anymore, which is really good. And when you're not the biggest, brightest, smartest person in the room, you're learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm grateful to Brent Gove and Mike and Jay and Glenn and Jason Gessing and Dennis, Pete Middleton. I mean, Jana Caudal, and there's just so many great people that I've met at Liz Brown. I mean, Craig Lurch. I've had an opportunity to reconnect with some old friends, and it's been incredible.
Well, the old one of their models is making real estate fun again, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. Us old timers, I mean, I've been doing this 32 years, right? And got the gray hair to prove it. And
well, think about this. I was doing at the peak $3 million a year in commissions. My biggest expense was agents. So 50% went out the door to the agents. So that left me with $1.5 million. And I spent about $500,000 to run the business, salaries, marketing. So that left me with about $1 million a year, and a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of risk, a lot of overhead, a lot of training, a lot of hours, a lot of sleepless nights. And then every year I'd have to do it over and over and over again. And it gets tiring, right? You get exhausted. So, this definitely is another opportunity that people can explore and look deeper into and evaluate for themselves. But just have an open mind is what I would say, because you wouldn't say Brian Moses is closed-minded. I don't think anybody that knows me would say that, but I was closed-minded. And I can't believe that I'm admitting that I was closed-minded, that I had opinions about a company that I knew nothing about. And thankfully, I had people in my life that cared enough about me to tell me to shut the F up.
I love it.
And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of disrespectful. Like, really? But okay, I'll shut up. And I'm glad I did.
No, and thanks for telling your story. There's a lot of people that wouldn't really, admit that, but that just goes to kind of share your heart that a lot of us can be, closed-minded or we think we know because you've heard a little bit about the company, or maybe you've even talked to a person or two, but maybe they didn't do a great job of really kind of listening to you. They were trying to tell you about it instead of listening or what you might need or want, and then sharing what the opportunity could be about. But yeah, anyone that's out there listening today, Brian, thank you for kind of sharing your heart. And I think that's just some pretty amazing advice is, not to assume that you know what you don't know, and just be open-minded to listen. And after you listen with an open mind, then you can do more due diligence, because somebody can't really share everything with you in a 30-minute or a 60-minute lunch, right? You got to dig into it, right? And do your due diligence. I mean, how much time did you spend doing due diligence after you started listening?
So I didn't do a lot of due diligence. Once Dennis got me to see the equity opportunity and how I can earn ownership in a publicly traded company that'll grow over time. And then he showed me other sources of income with revenue sharing, and that I could essentially, in less than a couple of years, create what's equal to $5 million in assets, on revenue share. I was pretty much convinced, and I was in, and I'm working really, really hard to make this opportunity very visible for people. So, I want people to be aware of it. I want people to understand what it is that you and I are experiencing, because it's hard to package it, right? It's hard to articulate it. And I'm working endlessly, Andre, at being able to articulate it in a way that people go, oh, okay, I'm in. Right? So that I don't have to chase, that I don't have to pursue, I don't have to pressure anybody, I don't have to close anybody, I don't have to sell anybody. I present it and they go, really? That simple? Yep. And we talked a lot about, that in today's podcast with you.
Right.
I think that, step number one is to realize that we might be misinformed, right? I will tell you that if I were another company, not EXP, I would be talking about EXP in a way that would protect my company and keep my agents here. So I think a lot of agents are hearing misinformation from their brokers, their owners, their sales managers. Candidly, they're being lied to. And, we all have the opportunity to look with our own eyes and explore. And if your broker is making revenue off you, know that they're incentivized to keep you. And, you just need to look a little bit deeper. Sometimes you need to be open to the possibility that you might have been misinformed. And they can talk with Andre, they can talk with me, they can talk with anybody that they know at EXP, and just go, you know what? What's all the buzz?
Right.
I'm curious, right? Don't even wait for somebody to reach out to you. You be proactive. You reach out to somebody and go, man, I was listening to Andre and Brian on this podcast. Are they full of shit or what? And talk to people about it. And, do your own due diligence, as you said. And great suggestion.
Yeah, it's some great advice. I really appreciate you taking the time with me today, Brian, and kind of sharing your story and getting it out there to the public, because it is a big deal. One thing that I've noticed when you talk to agents, most people will tell you, hey, they're happy at their company, they're comfortable, they really like their broker and so forth. But very, very few, actually none, has ever told me that it's been life-changing. When they at whatever company they're at, it's been life-changing. Now
Right.
they tell me they'll never leave. They love the broker and they love where they're at. But it's a common theme when you talk to an EXP agent that so many times you'll hear, well, it's been life-changing. So I tell people, if you can't say that where you're currently working and what company you're helping to grow, if you can't say it's been life-changing, then definitely reach out to Brian or myself or anyone that's reached out to you in the past and find out. Since I've been in the company just a little over 4 years, there was only about 15 or 16,000 agents, and I know we've hit over 88,000. There's got to be something going on over here. And like you said it best, Brian, that is the most agent-centric company that's set up a model for us hard-working real estate agents and broker owners. I've had some great broker owners that we've partnered up with, and they're telling us the same thing, that it's been life-changing for their independent brokerage as well. And they don't lose their branding, of course, but they get to keep their foundation of what they've built and just lay it on top of the EXP global platform.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, pretty remarkable.
Any last minute things you want to mention before we sign off, Brian?
Well, you asked me earlier what my favorite book is or my favorite movie. So I wrote those down. So I'll offer you a book that was pretty impactful for me. It was Be Your Future Self Now by Benjamin Hardy.
Okay.
Really, really an incredible book. It gets you thinking deep into the future with no pressure about what the next 20 years of your life looks like. And the author does a fantastic job of asking you questions. And when someone asks you questions, your subconscious mind starts to answer those questions. So I found that to be a really profound experience. And if you've not heard of it, Be Your Future Self Now, my best read of the last couple of years. Really, really a great book. And then
awesome. I wrote it down, and it's by Brian Hardy.
Benjamin
Hardy. Okay.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think you'll all enjoy it. And then I just saw the movie Air with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck about, Nike and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That was a very entertaining movie, and I enjoyed it. I give it a high recommendation. So that, and I want to go see It Ain't Over about Yogi Berra's life.
Okay.
And not that I'm a Yankees fan, because I'm not, but Yogi Berra is a legend, and his yogiisms. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. So, he's got all these crazy one-liners. So I've heard great things about that movie, so I'm going to go see that.
You can check that out. That's awesome. Well, thanks again for your time today, Brian. If anyone wants to reach out to you, ask you questions, or get to learn anything about EXP, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
They can shoot me an email, brian@brianmoses.com.
Okay.
And that'll come directly to me, and I respond to all my emails myself.
That's awesome. So that's easy enough, brian@brianmoses.com. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today, Brian. I'm sure we'll see you at one of the next influencer Zooms that we have this week and at the next live event. Appreciate you, and thanks for joining us on the Financial Freedom Forever podcast.
Ditto, Andre. Great to see you.
All right, buddy. Have a great day. God bless. Listen to what our business partners are saying about our FFF group.
Plenty of leaders out there, and this is the kind of group, the Financial Freedom Group, is you're not serving Andre, Andre's serving you, okay? Here's what I mean with this, perfect example. So I sent out these 50 emails referencing Andre, and I thought, as a courtesy, I'm gonna copy Andre on this, so he sees what I'm sending out, right? Just professional courtesy. This was on a Saturday. Sunday morning, before I get up, everybody's getting ready for church and everything, I look, and Andre, on his own, of his own volition, personally reached out to all 50 of those people, individual email, on his own. Well, I didn't ask for it. He did it on his own. That's the kind of support I'm talking about. That's the kind of leadership that I'm talking about. That's the kind of leadership you deserve, everybody deserves, everybody should ask for and expect in any company. We have it in the Financial Freedom Group. So thank you, Andre.
To get your questions answered and learn more about why people are joining EXP by 1,000 people a week and partnering up with us, please go to partnerwithandre.com or click the link below, check out the videos, and let's have a private conversation.